Welcome to the Day One Podcast. I'm Adam Daly.
I'm Brett Nord.
And we're back for another week. Episode 5. This is
right.
Cool.
Guaranteed to be 5 times as good as episode 1.
Let's hope so.
Yes.
We've got our caffeine, and that's good.
In hand.
Comfy chairs. Nice environment here. We're in my home studio.
Day One recording studio north.
That's right. North. I like that.
The north location.
It makes it sound very official. Very professional.
Yes.
I am, technically, I guess you could say I'm a professional podcaster.
Of course you are.
And this is just part of that. So
it's legit equipment we're using.
Legit equipment. I actually somewhat get paid to do my other podcasts, so from donations of listeners, so that's pretty awesome.
That's right.
And this podcast is brought to you by our subscribers of Day One Premium, so thank you.
Thank you.
We're excited to be able to bring you the content that we do, and we were excited to share with you some things today that hopefully can give you more insight about what's going on at Day One.
Yes,
and
how to use it better.
That's the whole purpose, right? Is to share kind of the insides, the inner workings of what we do, and some roadmap stuff. Any recent news that we've got, and then also share with you different stories from other users of Day One.
Right.
We want to give you, more insight on how you can take advantage of the best features of Day One. It's a great application. Mm-hmm. I've been using the term lifetime app recently quite a bit with people. Not necessarily just to justify our costs or anything like that, but Day One really is a lifetime app. If you think about it, you're putting in your memories here, you're gathering all that information, and hopefully at the end of said life, you'll be able to have a collection of memories that you could maybe even pass on to someone. Mm-hmm. So it's a lifetime app. I like that.
I like it that too. Maybe we should get Lifetime Channel to sponsor that.
Yes. Yeah. Ooh, great idea. I bet they would.
Yes.
Lifetime app on Lifetime.
Love it.
That's funny. So elephant in the room.
Before we get there, I just wanted to say to your point of the Lifetime app.
Please.
So I just got back from vacation. One of the things I had on my list to do on the plane ride back was to go through all my apps, because I tend to be an appaholic.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I download everything just to try it and see it, do a trial or whatever. And I found that I was not using as many apps as I really should. I'm trying a lot of apps, but I'm not really getting deep into the apps that I really want to use. And so I found by just making a text note of all of the apps, if I ever think I'll need it, I'll go back to that app list instead of having my app on my iPad.
Oh, okay.
So that way I can get deeper on the apps that I really want. Yeah, just take them off, make a note. Like if I ever need an app on this topic or this thing I'll give you an example. Adult coloring books. I don't know why I thought this would be fun to do for me. I downloaded like 7 of them, and I'm going through all of them. I'm like, if I ever have the urge to do this, I don't want it on my iPad because that urge may not come. So I make it on a list. I had 2 or 3 that I liked. I put them on that list, removed them from my iPad, and now I can get deeper and more in depth on the apps that I really want to know better, like Day One.
There's a lot of things that are pulling for our attention these days, and sometimes, like I think about it with music. A lot of times we tend to shuffle our music now, or shuffle a playlist or something like that, and we've moved away from the whole album concept. And I used to talk about this on a different podcast, but a lot of artists will take the time to curate a list of songs to go on an album.
Right.
And they're sometimes it'll tell a story. Sometimes they may not be all related, but it's got this cohesive feeling. And so I've recently been buying vinyl albums of the artists that I really like.
Sure.
And it's fun to listen to them front to back to get that whole cohesive artistic view that the musical artist wanted to share with you. And I think that's kind of the similar thing to the apps that we have. Like there's a lot of these apps that are out there pulling for our attention. And are we really taking the time to use what we have on our device?
Right.
How many home screens do you have on your
So I've gone
iPhone?
to one thing. If you know Tristan Harris, he's kind of been promoting this idea of using apps or using our technology just to do what we need to do and get in and get out, as opposed to letting it suck you in and then before you realize it.
Yeah.
So one of his suggestions, which I've loved, is to remove everything off the home page as far as page 1. So when I look at my phone, I see the background, and that's kind of what I wanted. Oh, that's kind of nice. And I do have at the bottom, of course, 4 or 5 apps.
Yeah.
At the bottom. Those are my everyday type. Then I have to actually swipe it once to the side to get to my apps.
Okay.
But I on purpose, I kind of nest them and make it difficult to get to, so I have to pull down and do a search for the app I want to go to. So I found anything that's pulling me in or taking time away, social media, i.e., I put those deep in an app.
Far away.
In a folder, yeah.
That's kind of
cool.
You? That's a cool thing. Well, I have one home page, and I've used folders to kind of organize myself, and I have the apps I use the most are not in a folder. And then I have a few different folders that I'll bury things in. So like, there's a parking app that we can use for downtown Salt Lake City parking. Instead of having to go to the meter and plugging in your stuff, there's an app where you can just scan the QR code and like charge your parking to your cart, which is super convenient, but I'm not using it all the time. So it's buried in this one folder called utilities. I have like this utilities folder where it probably has the most amount of apps that I have, but I'm not using them all the time, and so they're just kind of buried in there. In fact, I wouldn't even know what I have in there right now without searching. But if I remember, I'm like, oh, I'm downtown, I'm here doing this, I'm parking or whatever, I can pull up that app and it's still there. But I only have one screen.
Got it.
So one home screen, and then everything else is just organized.
That to me is part of my dilemma too, is if it's a one-off kind of app, is it better just to remove it from your phone, knowing you can download it again when you need it?
Yeah.
Rather than having it take up somewhat friction of your phone life.
True.
Like, just remove it.
True. And I think that's a great philosophy and something I don't think we always think about. But, like I said, there's a lot of apps out there that are pulling for our attention. Yes. Which ones are we actually giving attention to, and which ones are maybe stealing away precious moments that we could be using doing other things?
Yes.
Be outside. Be in the moment.
Yes.
I heard that on another podcast recently as well. Be in the moment.
Yeah,
be where you are.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of a cool idea.
Yeah. Just before I leave that point, time well spent is what you want to Google. Tristan Harris, time well spent. He did a great video. He used to work at Facebook, I believe, or Google. I think it was Google too. And he just talks about that, how they've really designed technology to suck you in. And it's more how long you're using the app. That's how their metrics is, instead of getting what you need to do. It's actually how long can we keep you captive. So anyway,
dangerous stuff.
Yeah, that's what I love about day one. Is this something you can go in, make your entry, whatever, spend time, just do what you need to do without feeling like, oh, this is a time suck.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So now,
let's
elephant in the room.
Let's talk about it.
I'm not going to dive too deep into this because the post-mortem has been posted on the website, and so you can go and read the full details about the server outage that happened last week.
Yeah.
It started Monday morning. When I got online to start doing customer service questions and helps, we noticed sync was offline. It was a hardware issue that we found out that wasn't on our end, but in the process of getting things back up, it took longer than expected. Things went wrong. We finally got it back up Thursday morning, to my relief and everyone else's as well. The team was working overtime on getting this thing back up. We pulled in some other resources that we needed to get it back on, and we did. We finally did. It took longer than expected, but sync is back online, and we have a good idea of how to prevent that kind of thing in the future. With that being said, there's been a lot of comments on Twitter, on social media, telling us to go back and do it differently. Right. Some people have requested wanting iCloud back, wanting Dropbox back as an option to sync. And we hear you. We're not just like dismissing you offhand. We want to consider all of the viable options in the future. What's going to be the best way forward? And that's just what I want to express to our listeners here, and to anyone that's a day one user. The choices that we've made throughout the app progression has always kept in mind the interest of protecting user data and also the best options for the platform itself. And that's all we've done, and you can see that throughout. The reason why Day One Sync was built was to support future options for a web app, for API access, for IFT integration, end-to-end encryption, etc. Okay, those were all big reasons. Another one was some users on iCloud would experience data loss, and there'd be nothing we could do to help out with that because the loss would have been on iCloud's end, and what could we do? Or on Dropbox, we saw a lot of duplication issues because Dropbox would do interesting things with your data, and we didn't really have any control over that. So we didn't build Day One Sync half-heartedly or without any major direction. We wanted to do what was best to protecting user data and making sure that it was going to be a viable platform in the future for future features that we wanted to do, like the web app and IFT integration and stuff like that. So with all that being said, the server outage has taught us a lot of things. There are some changes I think the team wants to make as far as that goes, and they're being discussed. And we're weighing all the different options, what's going to be the best way forward. Just know that we love our jobs, and we want to keep them. And so we're going to do what's going to be best. What we feel is going to be best. We're going to listen to your feedback and stuff like that. But we're not just going to make a decision because that's what some of the people want. We're going to make a decision that is going to make the best difference going forward.
Right.
To prevent these outages, to prevent what happened, unfortunately, to 106 users where their journal data may have been shared. We're very sorry about that. That is our worst nightmare. But we want to do the best thing going forward.
Yeah.
And that's just speaking from my perspective as the customer service manager. I'm not an engineer. I'm not but I watched this whole process unfold. I was the one getting most of the feedback. Me and my two cohorts that work part-time on customer service, we felt it all. And we feel your pain. It sucked for us too, if I can say that.
Sure.
But yeah.
Yeah. I was impressed with the feedback we got from the community. We got a lot of really positive messages from users that are in IT or other security technical fields that said, you guys are doing the right thing. Like, this sucked indeed. And these things happen. And at the same time, we got some that were critical about the way it happened. And of course, we also understand that and share that critique or criticism as well. Is that, it was a really tough, unfortunate thing that happened. But I just think it was great, the community, especially when Paul posted the postmortem, like that was transparent and just upfront as, what went on. And, that's important. I think that happened.
I think that speaks to the integrity of Paul and to the company itself, that we want to be open to our users. We're not trying to hide anything. We're not trying to, do anything subversive or anything like that. Again, it's our number one priority is protecting user data and building a great product. So whatever we can do to do that, to keep our jobs, to keep us in business, we're going to do the best thing for the app and for our users.
Right.
All right, so let's get into the meat and potatoes of the rest of our episode. We've had some great, Brett has some great interviews with some of our users around the world. And I think it's been an awesome experience, not only for you, but also for our users to share their experience, how they're using Day One.
Yes.
And I think most of our emails that we've received these past couple of weeks have been requests to do that, to be interviewed and to share their story about how they use Day One. So we're really excited to share those on the show.
And I'm trying to find a better word. It's not really an interview. I'm not interviewing.
True.
And it's more of a discussion, a Day One discussion. And it's really not even a testimonial, because I kept thinking it's not just them saying, "Oh, I love Day One."
Right.
It's actually how I'm using it, and here's a tip for other users. Here's what would save other users anguish from something I figured out after using it for a while. And I think that's really what's valuable about these discussions.
Like a fireside chat.
There we go.
Right?
Yeah.
Little sitting around the campfire.
Sure. Yes.
Chatting Day One with Brett.
Yeah, I like that.
We should do that, like some sort of retreat.
Yeah.
Get the guitar out and go sit around the campfire and make some s'mores.
And I am using Zoom, so it is video, so I could have my guitar.
There you go.
Playing along.
Get the uke.
I like it. I can play the uke too. Sure.
And then just some of our emails. We've had some comments recently that we wanted to bring up on the show. For instance, we've had one recently from our friend Dominic, who, if I remember correctly, is one of our power users. He's got a lot of entries, and he had a question about how Markdown and HTML are going to work in our new editor. I don't have all the answers on that one yet, Dominic, but I'm going to get with the engineers that are building that new editor and see if we can get some concrete information there for you. So stay tuned, my friend.
Yeah.
I have received your email. I just haven't responded just yet. So
yes. And some of these, too, we will give updates to, but as we know with development, things change, and so we may actually have a better answer if we wait a little bit to respond to. One of those is PDFs, exporting. I know a lot of people want more customization in their entries.
That actually has been a common thing, especially with book printing and PDF exports. Right now we support one single layout, and it's all automatic. So as you export your data, it's automatically put into a PDF. We're using a third-party service to do that. And we've had some requests for more customization there? How can I fit more pictures on a page or reduce the size of that? And that is something we're definitely looking into, something we want to offer, especially with book printing. As I've mentioned before, I'm a very photo-heavy journaler, and I think it would be fun to have different layout options in the book printing so that I could choose to have maybe 4 photos per page and have it like a grid layout or something like that. So that is something we're looking into. We don't have it on the immediate roadmap at this time, but as you submit requests, we add those to an issue on GitHub, and so that we're tracking all of that information so that we can see like how popular a feature request is or how much is being demanded, and we kind of prioritize based off of that. And also how it fits into the day one model. I think we've also had a question recently on what feature what was it? What feature was requested a lot but we decided not to put in?
Yeah, I think that was Mark in the UK.
And then on the opposite, what feature wasn't necessarily requested that we did decide to put in? Yeah. And I don't have a perfect answer for that because I'm not the one who decides those. I'm the one who just gathers the information on that. But just my experience with Paul, the design team, and the engineers, they want to do the best. We want to do the best journaling app, right? And I think that's the focus.
Yes,
the best private personal journaling app. And when you start to get too many, exterior features coming in, I think you lose that. I think you get a more utility app as opposed to one focused app. And there's a lot of apps out there that do different things really well. And we want to do the best journaling app. And I think that's, as long as the feature request fits within that mold, I think that's something we'll definitely consider. For example, I think Apple Pencil support is one of the biggest, most requested features that we get. And it's on the roadmap. It's just, I think it's kind of interesting because I think part of the reason the app was built was to get away from having to write things down with your hand, and typing on a keyboard is a lot faster, or, being able to double thumb it on a mobile device or something like that. It's something I think that we want to do, maybe to put in like sketches or preserving handwriting. I think is a really cool idea.
Yeah, it is.
When you can go back and see like grandma's handwriting, how fluid and beautiful cursive they used to have. I don't even have that. Cursive has gone the way of all the earth. You know what I mean?
I have an anxiety attack now when I try to do a thank you note with the pen or pencil. I'm like, spell check, where are you?
Right, exactly. But I think the idea is really cool to be able to like sketch things or preserve handwriting or whatever. So it's on our list. It's just, where does that fit in? What's the priority versus other features and stuff like that?
Right.
And as far as features that haven't been requested that were put in, again, I think we're just looking for the best way to make the best journaling app. And so I don't know if activity feed was necessarily like a really high requested feature, but we put it in and it allows you to curate different things like your Facebook posts or your Twitter posts or your Instagram posts and decide which ones you want to create entries from, or your calendar events and photos and stuff like that. So it wasn't necessarily like people were looking for that, but it plays along really well with what day one is.
Yes.
Does that make sense? Curating your memories. So
that's right.
I don't know. Those were just two examples that came off the top of my head there.
Those were good. Thanks, Mark, for that question.
Yeah. Agreed.
How about we get into some discussions with some day one users?
Some day one users.
Yeah,
I like it.
I've had it again. It's been a pleasure to meet so many new friends from around the world and to find out how they use day one. Again, the call is always there to go to calendly.com.
Calendly.
Thank you.
Calendly.
No R. Calendly.
Calendly.com
/day one app. There you can schedule a 15 or 30-minute discussion time with me, and that's been great. We do it through Zoom, which is a video platform, so it's fun to see each other, to chat, totally informal.
Yeah.
But we really I've got some great stuff. We're going to be featuring one or two on every podcast now going forward.
Yes.
And then, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, speaking of informal, we're trying a new thing to play the audio while we're sitting here listening as opposed to splicing it in later.
We're stepping it up a bit.
We'll hope. We're going to hope it works. We don't have a producer here. It's basically me sitting in front of my little digital recorder here. So we're going to pray that it works. And what we wanted to do is like play these audio clips and then kind of comment on them. And right?
Exactly.
That's what we want to do.
That's right. Most of these conversations, like I said, 15 to 30 minutes. Rather than hosting the whole discussion, I really got some quick sound bites from it, and I thought those would be fun to listen to. So Let's start. First we have...
This is Jerem. We'll let him introduce himself.
Hey, this is Jerem from Idaho. Love day one.
Little plug there.
Yeah. Jerem was great. He had a lot of good ideas. He's a young father, so with raising children, he talked about how he uses tags.
I like that. Let's hear his perspective on that, and we'll talk about it.
So I've been thinking about when I hit my year mark of coming up with some new tags that I can, start putting into my stories, but make them kind of more creative. And my sister-in-law, she's the one that introduced me to the app. She, her and her husband, they have a tag that's like funny things kids say, and they'll, write those in there. But I kind of wanted to rename them things like, out of the mouths of babes would be my tag. And then, make them a little more interesting and more fun. And that would make it more enjoyable for me.
Yes.
So that when something like that happens, I'll watch for it. And I think, oh, that'd be perfect for that. So I think that I'm excited for that. I'm trying to make a list of different tags that I can use. So coming the end of May here, I'm going to try and start incorporating those in little by little.
Awesome. Now that's been an interesting debate in the office with me and a couple of people. Tags versus different journals.
Right.
Which one do you use, and which one is better? And I don't know. For me, I mean, it's a completely personal decision. If you want to use tags to organize your data, or if you want to separate them out into journals, I think you could do either one. It's just what is your mode? How do you define journaling for yourself?
Right. I had a really great discussion yesterday with someone that actually has a journal by location. So they have a cabin they go to.
Cool.
And he only records cabin journal entries when he's there.
Yeah.
That's kind of a clever approach.
And I think you could do that with tags as well.
Right.
Like if you're just keeping one journal, just tag it as cabin, and it does pretty much the same thing. The idea is organizing your thoughts, organizing different things. Like, for example, I've got a personal journal where it's more just like what's going on during the day, photos of the kids, etc. Then I've got a podcast journal where I do all my notes. I've got a spiritual journal where I've got spiritual things. I've got a work journal where I'm documenting like my career goals and stuff like that, how I'm working towards those, one-on-ones with my supervisor, etc. Nice. So that's different ways you can separate those things out, and I like it because when I go into a journal, I'm not getting those blurred lines. You know what I mean?
What happens when you have an entry that covers two topics?
That's a great question. I think that that also came up the other day when we were talking about this. And I think for me, I just got to pick one. Which one is it going to fit into the best? Sometimes it may be just a personal journal entry where, even though it's a personal journal entry, but it's got some spiritual aspect to it, I'll just leave it in the personal journal.
Yeah, it would be nice to be able to have multiple an entry that you could tag or check which journal you want it to go to, so it could be more than one.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Did that come up?
Now, there are ways that you can copy entries and duplicate them. It's kind of a roundabout way, but basically you share a journal entry from day one to day one. So you're using the share extension from day one, and then you just change the journal in the share sheet, and it will copy the entry into that other journal. So that is kind of a workaround, but you could duplicate an entry like that and do that.
And that's related to your tip we're going to get to at the end.
It is somewhat related to my tip, yeah, absolutely.
Cool. There's a little teaser for the tip.
Yes.
Coming up. So stay with us. We'll get there. I also want to feature one other interview or one discussion I had that I got some great sound bites from. This is Tor from Norway. I kept calling him Thor. I just thought it was cool but Tor's cool too.
That's about right. As, Norse mythology.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, great guy, great discussion, and here's the first clip.
Well, this is Tor from Bergen in Norway.
He's awesome. You might have to slow down. Instead of listening to us 2-speed, you might want to slow this one down to 0.5.
Right. No, but I just wanted to say he's got great English, though.
He does.
You do have to listen a little bit closer because of the accent, but he's got great English.
It was a little intimidating because it's better than my English, so I understood him better than when I listened to my recording of me talking to him. I'm like, oh my gosh.
I've noticed that somewhat people who are learning English as a second language can sometimes speak it better than those who have learned it as a first language because of our slang, idioms, and
I think I have a voice for video. That makes sense.
Yeah. What other clips did you want to play on this one here?
I think all of them. So let's start at the top.
Okay. So the question is, do you have a routine or method in journaling?
Not particularly. I don't have any special habit of doing it. I'm just when we are out walking or something happening, normally I take pictures with my phone and just import it into day one and write some keywords. And at the end of the day, or when I have time, I go in and do some edit and finish it up with put it into the correct journal. I have 5 at the moment I'm using. And also I normally put in an average of,
that kind of mirrors the way I journal too. Is I start with a picture.
Yes.
And then go back in and add text on what was going on, what the moment was, and then I add data that way.
He was talking about adding keywords. First I thought he said keyboards. I thought he was just typing in text to it, but he actually means a keyword.
Yeah.
But he talked about 5 journals, and then he'll go into more depth on what those 5 journals are.
One of those here is his nature journal, so we'll go ahead and play that clip.
And write the text to each picture, the story behind the picture normally. And where it's taken and more details. Because when you take a picture, you normally just put it into an album and it stick on your computer, and you have thousands of images to look through when you are looking back. But in day one, I do a bit extra and type in text, and of course we get in the location into the journey and the weather for the day. So that's really nice features built into the app.
Yeah, I like that as well. The location, I think, is a big deal on your entries. Like, so if you're out in nature, his nature journal, he's taking a picture and then describing it, what's going on, and then and then he's got where he was. You can see that on a map or whatever.
Right, and it's obviously going deeper than just the metadata. He's saying, I'm writing about what I see when I am in this environment where I'm taking the picture.
Yes.
Then there's a recording there of where he describes the 5 journals he uses.
I have, of course, the journal, the main one. It's only called the journal. And I have one for work, that's called offshore. I have one for the trips outside in the nature, that I call nature. I have one for food and restaurants and stuff, and one diary for when we are on at the cabin up in the mountain.
Oh, I love that. So it's location based. It's you're actually in a place that you're going to journal, and it could be a different entry in a different field than if you're obviously at work or somewhere else.
Yeah. So my general one, day-to-day basis, is normally into the general journal.
I like that.
Yeah. I'd forgotten it was Tor that mentioned the cabin option.
Let's see. I've got one here. What's your favorite thing about the app?
Yeah.
Can we do that one?
Sure.
That's a tricky one. It's all of it is a favorite because I'm using it daily almost, and it's so easy to use. The simplicity of the app and the user experience when I use it is top-notch. I've been sitting down several times and wondering what it is about this app that it is so user-friendly and it looks so good and so simple, but I haven't found any good answer yet. But I really enjoy it.
I thought it was funny how he couldn't think of an example, but he gave like 5 before that.
Well,
it's amazing. Yeah.
Simplicity, user-friendly, the design is beautiful. I think that speaks, going back to some of our questions about features, including, different things. We get feature requests a lot. Hey, I would like this. I would like this feature, etc. And as I think about those, I think, okay, does this really play to what we want Day One to be? The best journaling app, or is it just going to be adding fluff, etc.? Sure. And I think apps that get too feature rich become too heavy, start becoming a burden. You don't know what is all that's there, and maybe the app gets too large at that point, can slow it down and stuff like that. So I think the simplicity is really what Day One has going for it. Sure. Even though there are quite a few features in it, if you keep just piling those on, it just becomes feature
bloated.
heavy,
Right.
bloated. Yes, that's the word.
Yeah.
So I like what Tor says about that.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Should we do On This Day? I love On This Day, so I love hearing about that.
Yeah, totally.
And one of the things I really appreciate and that is amazing is the notification I get every day. This time 2 years ago, this time 4 years ago. And then you see how time flies away.
That is the truth.
Yeah.
So we got one more here, or two more that we wanted to share with you. He talks about how he become a paid subscriber of Premium.
I was a Plus member until you started with the podcasts.
Ah,
I hear what you are saying, what plans there are for day one, and I feel that this is a company that really are serious about the program and want to develop it. And I really like the way that you are working.
thank you.
So, no, I'm a paid subscriber. Premium.
Awesome, Tor. Thank you.
Now, I'd like to take all the credit for that. So.
You should. Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I can't. But I think that's really cool. That as they hear our story and understand what we're all about, that means something that being a paid subscriber, yes, gets you access to a better feature set now and access to all the future features that are going to be coming out. But it also is supporting a small developer that's just trying to keep our head in the game, keep us in business for as long as possible. As I said in the beginning, Day One is a lifetime app, and this helps us achieve that goal by just staying in business.
And you really can't take 100% of that. I'll give you 90%.
There you go.
Okay, so 90.
Brett gets 10.
Yes, that's fine with me.
That's fine.
You can't see, but on the video when I'm recording, I do the hands up in the air like the Rocky thing when he's like, "I am now a paid subscriber." It's like awesome, and I think it was just going into more depth on what it really means to be an independent developer.
Yeah,
and we'll have that theme come up again as we interview more of the team.
We don't we're not trying to get rich or anything. We just want to keep our jobs.
Sure.
And I think that's the whole point. And you supporting us, we are grateful for that. We see that, and we are just in awe that there is a community out there that also believes in this vision. So.
And Adam speaks for himself because I want to be rich.
That's fine.
So.
That's fine. That's why Brett does it all.
Just rich in experiences. I don't mean money.
I want to be rich in money.
Yeah. Then have the experiences.
I'll put my PayPal address at the bottom here so you can just donate to me. That's right. Just kidding. And then we got a final sign off here from Tor, and I believe it's got a little tip for us. Is that right?
He does. Okay. A Tor tip.
Tor tip. I like it.
So and also the tip is that I normally. We can do that the way you said it. So this is Tor from Bergen, Norway. My final comments about Day One is that it's a great and beautiful user interface. It's very appealing. It's nice and easy to use. One tip is to keep the Day One app at the front page. So it's, and if you like, you can put it down to the bottom line on your iPhone. So it's accessible very easily. And if you are not used to write diaries, put on some alarms. So you are reminded that you have to do some writing in your diary. And then just make it a good habit.
That is a perfect tip to end on. I like that a lot. He talks about putting the app itself on the homepage or on the dock in your on your iPhone or iPad. And if you're not used to writing diaries or journal entries, use the reminder feature.
Yes.
To get in the habit. And I think we've talked about that before. Consistency, I think, is a big thing for journal writing. If you want to get good at it, you've got to keep a habit. You've got to build that habit if you don't have it already. And reminders is a great way to do that.
Sure. Back to the point of putting it on your homepage. Every time I go to delete an app, and they're shaking, right?
Yeah.
I take that like literally, like
They're
they're
scared.
nervous,
They're scared.
right? They think I'm going to be gone. So I do delete anything that I'm like, I don't want, especially that homepage bottom row is sacred real estate. It's like, you've got to earn your way there. And if it's there, it's something I'm going to be using a lot.
I like that.
I love Tor's tip on that. And then, yeah, that's great.
Consistency is key.
Yes.
I shared a little bit of just some of my tips on our Instagram page recently about, we know we should journal. There's a lot of benefits out there that you can get. Preserve your memories. It'll help you improve memory, help you improve your creativity, benefits for future generations, etc. But then we get stuck in these, I don't journal because I don't have time. I don't know what to write, etc.
Sure.
But there are things you can do to overcome those. You can set reminders to, at a convenient time for you. If that's right before bed or early in the morning, whatever works for you, you can set those reminders up for yourselves and just build that habit. Keep it going.
Yeah.
And if it's on your front page of your phone, every time you open your phone, you're going to see that app there, and it'll remind you.
Yes.
There you go.
It is inspiring when you get on this day, and it's a wonderful memory that you recorded.
Yeah.
The converse, it's also disappointing when you get one that you just logged, like the activity, like where I drove that day. It's
yeah.
like, oh, dang it.
Why didn't I fill more information?
Yeah, if I'd taken advantage of that, it would be something to reflect back on.
Yep.
So
kind of a guilt trip there.
Yeah.
But hopefully to motivate you in the right direction.
Yeah, of course. It's all about that.
All right. So I wanted to share just one tip that I think came up a few times this week, and that not everybody may know about. And that's linking journal entries.
What does that mean?
So I got to give credit first to Holy Fool Productions. You can find them at Holy Fool on Twitter. They tweeted this out, and I decided to retweet it because I guess it wasn't that known. And there were quite a few comments on there saying, "Oh, I didn't know this feature existed."
Yeah.
So linking entries, basically what you can do is use the Markdown URL to link one entry to another. You just copy that and paste it in a different entry. So all you have to do when you're reading the one entry is tap on that link, and it will take you back to the other entry. And we'll post the instructions down below in the description of this episode, so you can find out for yourself how to do that. It's a great way to link multiple entries together.
Right.
So cool little tip that I don't think many people knew about.
Mm-mm. Yeah, I was surprised too how many didn't, which is awesome. Something they can learn.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a lot of little hidden gems in day one that'll make it useful and help people really take advantage of all the features that are there.
Yes.
So
one thing we're going to start doing too on these podcasts is mention when users in the community are making great content of teaching and tutorials. And we're going to start this week with one from a good friend of ours, Sean Blanc, who writes for The Sweet Setup.
Thank you, Sean.
Yeah, it's an awesome, he's been a great supporter of Day One for years, always featuring his favorite and Sweet Setup's favorite app is Day One. He just did an update on how I journal on his website. We'll have links also for the show notes for that.
And he did one on the activity feed as well.
He did,
we tweeted out.
Yeah, that's right. And he's been doing a great kind of tee up to a program he's launching. In fact, this will be released on Monday.
Cool.
And his program comes out on Tuesday. So this is May 22nd, 2018 is when he'll be releasing it. And more details will be given there. If you just click on, I think it's Sweet Setup /Day One. Yeah. You can go there and find out more information. But it's
we'll
video
post a link
program
as well.
Yeah, we'll have post a link. It's $29. I think it's $23 for the next introduction rate.
Okay.
Time frame. But video.
And we're not paid by Sean. We just like his content.
Yeah.
I personally bought his first PDF book about Day One.
That's right.
And I think it's really helpful. It describes how to use the app. So.
Yes.
Like I said, we're not being paid by him at all, but we wanted to share that content with you because I think it's great.
Important point. Not an affiliate link, not a paid advertisement sponsor here. And we'll do the same for anyone in the community that's making great content to help other users.
Absolutely. So thank you, Sean.
Blog posts, anything you're doing, just let us know.
Check out thesweetsetup.com.
Yeah.
That is a good place to go.
It is.
All right. Anything else, Brett?
I think we're good. Yeah.
Is that our episode for the week?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Thanks again, everyone, for listening. Keep sending in questions, comments, feedback, as well as if you want to you want some time with me to discuss Day One.
Yeah, and you can do that by email, podcast@dayoneapp.com, or you can just go right to the calendly.com/dayoneapp.
That's it.
To schedule time to have a discussion with us.
Yeah.
And as always, you can follow us on social media. We're at Day One App on Twitter and Instagram, and Facebook.com/Day One App. We try to post regular stuff there. And if you, as always, if you need help with anything, we are ever building our tips, our tutorials, our help guides, our troubleshooting, and you can find that at help.dayoneapp.com. So be aware of that. And also our contact page, if you ever need to get in contact with Day One support, if you just go to dayoneapp.com/contact, there are a few ways described there about how you can get some help. We're always here to help you for anything you need.
Yeah.
Sound good?
Sounds great.
It's been a great week. Thank you, everyone, for listening. We'll talk to you in the next couple of weeks.
Take good care.
Bye.